Never done. She would walk by and put her hand across the bottom and all hell to pay. So we did away with them. When I redid them, we did away with them, and now my staff loves that concept. Again, some more pictures of our facility.
How many square feet is that?
The retail area is 3,200 square feet. The total building is about 16,000 square feet. Another rule of thumb, as I'm thinking of things, folks, I'm going to throw them out to you. Another rule of thumb, you should have at least 100 square feet of storage space, warehouse storage space, not talking closets, warehouse storage space for every lane in the building. If you have a 20 lane range, you should have 2,000 square feet of warehouse storage space. Think about all of the palletized product you're going to bring into that store. Filters, lead, cardboard for your backers, targets, all kinds of material coming in bulk that needs to be stored for long periods of time. Filters are going to change at a rate beyond anything you've ever imagined. And to buy them economically, bulk weight is the way to go. And then what are you going to do with the HEPAs that you can't dispose of? The HEPAs you're going to wind up keeping for close to a year. Every time you mine, the miners will more than likely, if you're smart, negotiate for them to take the HEPA filters away. So now you've got to store the used filters along with the new filters. Yes?
Did you plan ahead for your storage area and leave a space where you can get a forklift in and out?
I did. I got lucky. But ask me if I have a forklift. Not yet. Not yet. So we have to require tailgate trucks right now, but we have a pallet jack. But I just made an offer on a used forklift on the day that I left to come to the conference, so I don't know if we own one. We may own one right now, I don't know. Again, I told you we have to be who we say we are. So a couple of little things. When I make my initial contact with someone who's thinking about a range, I tell them to immediately lose the term shooting range. I do not allow my clients to ever say the words shooting range. So all reference to their facility is a shooting and training center. And I guarantee you there's a couple of you here saying, well, yeah, well, big deal. Well, let me tell you, in the Midwest, I just had a client designated as a tech school because they said they were building a shooting and training center. And there's a huge initiative in the state to qualify as much education in the downtown area as possible. It took $20,000 off of their impact statement, their impact fee, and it fast-tracked their building permit. They got their building permit in 6 days because they were designated a tech school. I promise you, if they would have gone to the planning department and said, I want to build a gun range, they would never have even thought of putting them in a tech school environment. Words are powerful, and the manner in which you use them, and the manner in which you represent yourself to the community is critical. If you are going to negotiate with any municipal element, planning and zoning, licensing, city council, you are going to find resistance on 3 points. I have never testified to any of those bodies and did not have to face the 3 elements. Noise, pollution, environmental, and projectile escapement. I have a range in Charlotte, North Carolina. They just got their 5-star rating, and they just celebrated their first year in operation. And when I went to that Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, one of the members on the board said, I have done my research, and I don't want a nasty shooting range in my community. The smoke that you put into the atmosphere is poison. And to that I said, well, you're misinformed. The shooting range industry, indoor range, air exhaust, does not even rise to the level of interest in the EPA. There is 0 requirement in the EPA for you to filter your exhaust air. However, Mr. Drummond, my client, is not after building the cheapest range he can build. He is very concerned about this community. Therefore, he is filtering all of his exhaust air with a HEPA filter. And I've already talked to him, and you'll be happy to know he has agreed not to charge the city of Charlotte for cleaning the air, because the air he's giving you back is cleaner than the air you're giving him in. And you can tell we had a great response to that. I actually got to say those words again on TV to the city council broadcast, city council meeting when we got unanimous approval to build a range. But that's the reality, and that's something that you have to fight every day in your journey, ladies and gentlemen. You need to be the educator of those who are naysayers to your vision. And one of the ways we do that is we create the answers to all those anticipated questions. It's like one of the first documents I share with my clients. You must know this, because I cannot show up to that planning and zoning meeting and look like the hired gun answering all the questions for his project. You need to answer those questions. I'm there to support you when they want someone to stand up and say why, or the technical aspect. But you need to drive your train. So do your research in anticipation of those three areas. Because I promise you, even if you have a smooth transition, someone along the line is going to ask projectile escapement, EPA environmental issues, and noise. That's coming, guaranteed. So recognize it, have the answers to it. As you can see, when I built my facility, I did not want to build it so it looked like a shooting range. And as I said earlier, you being who you say you are, well, here's the example. We are a training facility. These are all of the classes we teach every month. That TV screen playing above my classes, if you pick up a flyer there and it says tactical pistol, well, that's my most advanced class. That's a 2-day class, 1 day of live fire, an entire second day, entirely 8 hours in total darkness, in an off-site, real-world corporate headquarters building, and it's force-on-force, scenario-based, with role players, and we debrief after every incident. But you're walking through an active corporate headquarters building that's obviously not used on the weekend, where you're walking into restrooms with multiple toilet stalls, you're doing elevators, you're doing stairwells, all of that. That's what my civilians are trying. I teach my civilians to the same level I teach my SWAT officers across the country. We don't change any different from my civilians to my SWAT officers. So, and I teach 14 to 20 teams a year. So very, very serious about the way we do it. But that TV screen up there, I'm reading about this, and it says force-on-force training. What's force-on-force training? I don't know what force-on-force training is. They click on it, and they'll get a 3-minute loop up here on the screen. And that 3-minute loop will be our classroom presentation, our live fire presentation, and our force-on-force training presentation. Had a question back there, sir. Okay, sir.
Do you vet your civilians?
Oh yes, absolutely. Oh yeah. I have a badge in my pocket. Trust me. The question was, do you vet your civilians? Absolutely. Just like I vet my employees. We do not hire an employee that's not drug tested, blood tested, and a concealed carry permit. Why do I want them to have a concealed carry permit? The sheriff does the background investigation for them. It's the reality. So all of our advanced defensive classes you cannot take unless you are a concealed carry holder. But trust me, the bad guy you're going to face in your home is not going to fight you any less aggressively than he's going to fight that police officer on that traffic stop or on that building search. Yes. Do we teach our civilians to breach doors? Yes. Do we teach them to skip shot in their home defense shotgun class? No. In the advanced shotgun class? Yes. Yes.
Is NRA teaching any
None of those.
shotgun courses?
None of those. None of those.
So you're the exception to the rule?
No, we're not teaching NRA classes.
No. You're teaching a shotgun course.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, last year one of the attendees here asked me the question, do you allow you know, NRA, like, training instructors in there. I know your answer was no. Can you explain that?
Yes. Training is an important part of our model. And we often have NRA instructors want to teach in our facility. I'm an NRA instructor, I'm an NRA law enforcement instructor, I'm an NRA civilian instructor. I'm also a post instructor in many states. If they want to teach in my facility, then go out and spend the $4 million and build yourself an indoor range and teach. Because here's the reason why. It's like having a gunsmith that's not yours. The guy comes in and he's taught to do something ridiculous with his firearm in a manipulation skill. I'm anal about manipulation. So we teach very specific manipulations for the firearm. But he's taught to do a tactical reload, for instance, down by his belt line because it's closer to the magazine pouch. Give me a break. Now he's out at the range somewhere and he does that quick move and guy goes, oh man, that's cool. Where'd you learn that? Center target. Oh. Not John Jones, NRA instructor using Center Target's facility. No, he was taught that very poor manipulative skill at Center Target. So the only way I can have a level of control of what's taught in that room is if I or my cadre is teaching it. Sorry, that's just the way it is.
And I would go further, I do the same thing, and I would go further and say, it has nothing to do with you being an NRA instructor.
Oh, no.
It's any instructor.
Any instructor.
Outside my realm.
Any instructor. Absolutely. Any instructor. Yeah. Any instructor. Yes.
And getting back to the family-oriented parents,
Yes.
what are your thoughts on the divider walls being, transparent and see-through versus solid for new shooters?
Purely, my opinion, but in my tactical bay, where I do all of my teaching, we have clear. In the standard 5-lane bay, we have solid. And that helps a lot with someone who may be a little intimidated. But the desire for me to see my students in all lanes, across all 10 lanes, raises to the level that I'm easily going to accept the additional cost for the polycarbonate, and it gives me that extra level of safety. Because I realize in my civilian classes, my high-end civilian classes, we do many manipulations that law enforcement would never think of doing. I mean, I was with the Sheriff's Department 8 years after I retired from the military, 8 years before they asked us to move and shoot at the same time. My Defensive 1 students do that. So not all police entities or law enforcement entities or private security entities are all equal. There are some who get and understand the importance of training, and then there are others that for many reasons, from administration to budget, don't and are not able to offer the level of training they should be offering their police officers. I teach at all the national law enforcement conferences, and I have about 500 law enforcement officers who are certified to teach my low-light program. And I'm here to tell you that there are some tremendous agencies out there who really support the training mission, but oftentimes it's the firearms instructor in the law enforcement department pleading for time or pleading for money, or access to the guys and gals to give them the training they need. We unfortunately are teaching our police officers way too often to pass a qualification and not win a gunfight. I'm sorry, but it's the state of the industry right now. This year alone, I've testified in 2 what we call mistake of fact shootings by law enforcement.
Any widows involved?
Yes.
They didn't.
Or relatives.
They didn't go. Oh, right. Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough. So recognize it for what it is and have a plan. I've got one elk head up here. It's my archery elk. It was, those of you who hunt, it was .378. There's a lot of controversy right now about animal heads in shooting ranges. And there's a couple of studies that have been done where some people find it offensive. So I'll just throw that out there for your own knowledge. I'm very proud of that elk. It was an archery elk, and I have it up there. But we have actually had someone complain and say, why don't you put that in your home somewhere? Why do you have it in the public? And that's in North Idaho, so I don't know what would happen in Manhattan. But, yes.
You just have the antlers, right?